Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I hope that you are well, and I hope that you are fighting, because there is a lot to be fighting for. We are back here again in temporary location number 1. I'll be here for probably another 5 or so videos, and then we're gonna be in New Zealand, in my family home, in my childhood bedroom, and I don't quite know how I feel about it, honestly. But, you know, you'll get the Anyway, the video, right? Okay, so we all know men. We all know men. We know of them. We know them. We're constantly reminded of their presence, even when we're trying not to be, you know? So today we're going to be looking at some TikToks that are snippets from a podcast called Fresh and Fit. I believe that Curtis Connor has made a video about this before. Always love his videos, so if you haven't seen it, you most definitely have. But if you haven't, go check it out. But yeah, I have a lot to say about this podcast. It was really painful, really painful to watch these and to write about them. It took me so much longer than it should have because I had to take so many breaks because I just wanted to the amount of men that exist like this, just so we're gonna look at that and you're gonna see exactly what I mean. If I had to go through this pain, you have to go through this pain. There's a lot that needs to be said, and so I'm gonna say it. Also, I would like to apologize about the lights. All of my stuff is in storage at the moment, and I couldn't bring my lights to my auntie's house because they're too big. There's nowhere to put them, so they're in storage at the moment. I have to use London lighting, and it's not great. So you're gonna have to tolerate that for a little while. I'm really sorry. Anyway, moving on from that, let's get into the video.
If I lined up 100 dudes and they had a serious girlfriend, I would say probably 95 of them are going to say, listen, dude, I prefer if my girl doesn't go out dressed a certain way. Are there that, exception to the rule where there's going to be a few guys that are going to be okay with it? For sure. But I would say if you gave a guy, left him to his own devices, hey, man, you get to choose if your girl goes out dressed a certain way or doesn't, the guys are going to say, I want her to stay home because men know how other men think. And at the end of the day, if you're my girl, right, you're the woman I take seriously. In other words, I'm buying the car full price. I don't want people to be able to test drive that car. And whether women want to accept it or not, when you put your body out there, you're disrespecting me by doing that.
I'm sorry. I am disrespecting you by choosing what I wear. I'm sorry, how is that disrespecting anyone? I'm choosing what clothes I put on my body. I'm not disrespecting anyone. If you have a problem with that, you're disrespecting me. If I'm the woman you take seriously, I'm like a car? I'm sorry, you don't want anyone to test drive the car? Sir, I don't know if you know this, but women are not cars. We are people. No one test drives us. That's disgusting. Me wearing revealing clothes or whatever clothes I want is not an invitation for anyone to do anything. If you think that me dressing a certain way is inviting men to violate me, that's not my problem. That is their problem. And you making that my fault and my problem is only validating those men in those actions. By you saying you're wearing that so men are going to abuse you, you are therefore validating that that is okay because I am asking for it. How about instead we say wear what you want because it's your body, and if a man touches you, I will support you in whatever course of action you wish to take about that. If you want to press charges, I will 100% support you, back that, and encourage it. Not you're asking for men to touch you, and then if they do, I'm going to blame you and break up with you because how dare you dress provocatively. Fuck you. You think 95% of men think that way? That's terrifying. That's disgusting. This is why we say men are trash. This is why we say we don't like men, because you think that I'm something that you own and can control and want to change and manipulate to be whatever you want, to be submissive to you and not do anything from my own free will. I make the conscious decision whether I want to be faithful or not, and that has nothing to do with the way that I present myself or what I wear. They're not related at all. Sometimes I just feel cute and I want to show that I feel cute because the way you dress is a form of self-expression, and if I feel good, I'm going to present myself in a way that makes me feel good.
You about to marry this chick.
No.
You open up her phone and you see her getting smashed by 7 dudes and you were about to propose to her. Hold on, it's for the guys. Stop. We're going to start at the couch. Are you going to marry her after finding out that shit?
No, sir.
No? Yeah, that's a
That's
no.
a negative.
What about you?
Hell no.
Okay. On Ghetto, you find out that she smashed 7 dudes a train.
10 years ago.
10 years ago. Same exact scenario. Marrying her?
I don't get it. What is wrong with you? Why does it matter? If you've been in a committed relationship with someone to the point where you are ready to propose to her and you find out that she had sex with a bunch of guys like 10 years ago, why does that matter now? If she's been like honest and you've had a good, healthy relationship and there hasn't been any like lying or cheating or anything at all, why does it matter? Newsflash, my guy. No one has ever owned her. She has never been an object. She has always been a person with free will and decision to choose, and she has chosen to be faithful to you and be in a committed relationship with you for whatever reason. You absolutely do not deserve that. How does her sleeping with 7 guys 10 years ago impact that at all? How does that impact her character? How does finding that out change anything? If you've grown to love her and accept her and you have a healthy relationship, how does finding out something from her past that didn't harm anyone change that? It's not like you found out she like killed someone. Because then, yeah, no, I would understand you having second thoughts and questioning your relationship. Absolutely. But she didn't hurt anyone. Literally no one got hurt. She is a human person who has free will and chose to do something that makes no impact on you or your relationship. I would love to hear you explain. I would love to hear you actually explain, because all of the time you're just like, no, I wouldn't sleep with a girl who's had sex before. I wouldn't sleep with a girl who's been sexually promiscuous and who's done sex work in the past or who has done these like wild, crazy things. Why, though? Because would you do those things? Because I bet that you would. And even then, even still, even if you wouldn't, why does it impact your relationship now? I would love to hear you explain.
I'll just say this because, the women are giving their opinions on men, and men are trash, blah, blah, blah. And what I've come to realize, the basis from this argument that men are trash typically boils down to he cheats and he lies. That's pretty much the main complaints from women. So let me, unveil it for you guys right now, the fucking magic trick right here, right? The reality is this. Men are as only faithful as their options, ladies. Ta-da!
This guy's the worst. Like, this man is, like, actually the worst. I watch a lot of TikToks and I read a lot of posts on this channel, right? I've been doing this for almost 2 years now. And this is one of the worst. This is one of the worst people I've talked about. Like, I genuinely cannot stand this man. There's a deep-rooted hatred I have towards this man that is almost inexplainable. The fact that he just genuinely doesn't care or comprehend anything at all. He is so egocentric and misogynistic, and it's so awful and problematic, the behavior that he is encouraging, and the level to which he does not understand, nor does he care to understand, because he believes fully and truly that it is a man's world and everything revolves around men and women are just subject to men, and he doesn't see a problem with that. And you know that based off of the fact he just said that women say men are trash because men are sometimes unloyal and blah, 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 men are trash, haha. That's not what we mean when we say men are trash. We're not just referring to the fact that some of you are assholes and you cheat on women, which, yeah, we do use it in that setting, but that is such a minor, small part of the whole overall picture, and you boiling it down to just that invalidates so many women, and you are completely aware of that. You choose to be ignorant and you choose to gaslight women. Us saying men are trash, we hate men, comes down to the fact that we have had millenniums worth of being abused and literally being legally a man's property. Marriage came from the fact that we were given away Ownership went from our fathers to our partners. We were pawns that were traded for political power and for money. We were sold. That still happens now. There are places and there are instances where women are still sold, traded for money. Sex trafficking exists, and that is largely women are victims of that. Men are trash because they think they can get away with taking advantage of women. Men are trash because they gaslight and manipulate women and so often can get away with it because it is such an integral part of society. Women are beaten down. Women are treated as lesser. And although we have equal rights, which isn't entirely true, in a lot of places, absolutely not. Legal rights are not equal. In Western countries where people claim women have equal rights, sure, a lot of the time we have equal rights on paper, but there is a lot of instances in which we do not have equity. There is not equal opportunity. We are not treated the same in social situations, in the workforce. There is so much that we do not have that people are unaware of because of how normalized male-dominated industries are and how male-centric society is. And we say men are trash as a joke, as a small way of taking out that trauma and being able to relate to something and use that because it is a universal experience of women. Men are trash because men run the world and we are treated as lesser, and that's fucking shit. And that is how we deal with that trauma, and that is how we laugh about it. And it's also a way for us to come together and for us to all have a mutual ground on that. We can't walk home alone at nighttime because we're scared. We can't leave our drinks at the bar because we're scared. It's men are trash because it happens to so many women. And no, obviously, not all men, but enough men for most women to have been victims to physical or sexual violence at some point in their life, and enough men for women to feel scared and threatened, and enough men for women to feel unsafe and uncomfortable if they are the only woman in the room. Men are trash. And it means so much more than men cheat on women sometimes. Fuck you. This show is so awful because it exists to gaslight women, right? He brings women on the show to have debates, but it's actually just to own them and bring them on and just bombard them with misogynistic gaslighting and bullshit because he speaks on behalf of all men. He gets in other men who share the exact same values as him to make it seem as though it's a majority of men, which unfortunately I do believe it is. But he brings in a lot of men who share the same side as him and the same view as him and who will back him up. And they will fight against women who they bring in who aren't prepared for a debate, who aren't educated enough to completely understand the full force of what he's saying. He's just gaslighting people. They aren't prepared for a debate, and he knows that. You can't just bring in just like random women and start like gaslighting them and manipulating them and telling them all this shit and like getting into their heads. If you sound smart and you sound like you know what you're saying and you twist words, it can be hard to combat that if you aren't ready with an argument against that. It's the same with people like Ben Shapiro, who says the most absolute bullshit stuff, but he says it with such confidence that it sounds like he's right. And it's not until you stop and you think and you pick apart what he's saying until you realize that that makes no sense. But in the moment, if you aren't prepared for it, it is really hard to combat. I would love to see him bring on like a feminist activist who actively like talks about this shit, who has their own feminist podcast. He won't. He would never, because he doesn't stand a chance, and he is very, very aware of that. All he would do is yell at them and say, "You're wrong, I'm a man, I'm right, fuck you." It wouldn't work, and he would look like an absolute moron. He would look so stupid, and because he does not have a leg to stand on.
I think women need to understand, we got 14,000 of y'all in here. Women need to understand that there are men out there that will not give you the benefit, that will punch you right back in the fucking face if you hit them. I just need women to understand that. Not everyone is going to be a gentleman or chivalrous or whatever. A lot of guys are going to give you that same equality that you guys fucking fought for. Equal rights can also mean equal fucking lefts.
The moral of the story here shouldn't be men will hit you back if you hit us. The moral of the story here should be don't fucking hit people. If your girlfriend hits you, you fucking get out, because that is not okay. Abuse is abuse, no matter who it comes from. Women have no right to hit men, just like men have no right to hit women. It doesn't matter who you are, what gender you are. We are anti-violence. We are anti-family violence and domestic violence. I do not care what gender you are. You do not hit your partner. You do not emotionally manipulate your partner. You do not abuse your partner. It does not matter what gender you are. But the solution shouldn't be punch a woman back, stay in a relationship where you beat each other up. The correct response would be, hey man, if your girlfriend hits you, please confide in me and I will do what I can to help you get out, because that is not okay. I will help you press charges. I will help you do whatever you need, because you deserve better and you should not stay in a relationship that is violent. Does not matter what gender you are. There are so many men who, every time you talk about abusive relationships and you talk about violence against women and how terrible it is, there is always men being like, yeah, but men get hit too. Men are victims of domestic abuse too. Yes, they absolutely are. That's not the conversation we're having when we talk about that. But in instances like this, when it is the center of discussion, which it deserves to be, the response shouldn't be hit back, equal rights, equal fights. The response should be, yeah, equal rights. We need the resources to get men out of those situations, and we need to be saying, don't fucking hit people. Does not matter who you are. Abuse is abuse, and it's not okay.
So guy game is attaining the girl.
Yes.
Girl game is retaining the guy
Yes.
after sex,
Yes,
which is the key.
Correct.
Which most girls can't do.
You're checkpoint for my. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Like from a guy, especially South Beach, you're drunk, and it's like, I mean, we've all been there. You attain the girl, and then like a day later, you're just kind of like,
Yeah. And women always, and girls get on TikTok and complain and cry, oh, this guy goes to me or whatever. No, you're fucking useless more than likely. That's why the guy didn't want to talk to you.
I won't say useless, but a guy. I mean, what is it?
I'll just say it. Like, if they got ghosted, they were probably useless. Like, they probably came over, hung out, smashed, didn't clean the place up, didn't help, didn't do nothing, didn't make them no food,
Myron.
didn't make them a coffee.
Hold on, Adam.
Yeah, I really want to know what was said after that when they're like, hold up, because who the fuck? I'm sorry. Who's going for a hookup and then cleaning and cooking and making coffee? No one fucking does that. Who's doing that? Especially if it's like a Tinder hookup, like first time you've met and you sleep together. Who is cooking and cleaning? That's so strange. That makes no sense. If you're at their house, then they should offer to make you coffee in the morning or tell you where the coffee is or whatever. At least in my experience, when I have hooked up with people and I'm at their house, they tend to ask if I want a coffee in the morning because I need a coffee in the morning to be able to function. Like, no one's cooking. Like, why would you cook for someone? Especially why would you like clean up? That feels like disrespectful almost. Why would you clean up for a stranger? How is me not cleaning your room or like making you breakfast when you're a fucking stranger that I just slept with disrespectful and useless? What did you do? Why didn't you make me breakfast? Why didn't you clean up? Like, I would do that if it was my house. If someone came to my house and we hooked up, then sure, in the morning, I will ask if they want a coffee. I will ask if they want something to eat. But if I'm at their house, I expect them to ask if I want a coffee or if I want to eat. Or we just like go our separate ways. Depends on the situation, depends on where we are, etc., obviously. But like, that's just common sense. And I'm not gonna say someone not cooking me breakfast or cleaning up my fucking house after we have sex is them being useless. That's just them being like a normal human being. If they started cleaning or cooking when we were, I would be very confused. I don't think anyone you're the only person who expects that. That's so weird. That's so weird. And the double standard, man, that's unreal. That's unreal. How are men like this real? How does he exist? How is this a thing? Oh my god. Attaining someone after sex is a challenge. blah, blah, blah. Have you ever thought that maybe women don't want to attain you after sex too? Not everyone wants to hook up and then be in a relationship. And sometimes men are the ones who want to start a relationship. I do think you should go into those situations with communication about what you're actually looking for. Because if I'm going into something knowing it's just a hookup, then I'm not going to expect a relationship out of it because we had a mutual agreement of this was a hookup, you know? Like, if there's a mutual agreement and understanding, then that should be fine. No one should be expecting a relationship if that was set out in stone. But if you go out with someone with the intention or telling them that you are looking to pursue a relationship, then it's really fucked up of you to just ghost them without telling them, no, I'm not interested, you know?
And I'm glad that Hollywood has taken a hit with all this stuff. Go woke, you deserve to go broke, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's bullshit.
There it is.
Eternals. Okay, yep.
Oh, that was awful. I didn't finish that. I was like, oh, this has so many. Oh, that was awful. Yeah, that was awful.
I didn't watch it.
There is so much virtue signaling nowadays in movies that it's ridiculous, and it's no wonder that the box office consistently is crashing and failing and everything else like that because they continuously feminize. I hate to say it like that, but they feminize and emasculate traditionally masculine characters. What the hell do you think is going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like if I grew up on Spider-Man in the 80s and 90s, and now I'm watching Spider-Man and he's doing some weird shit, and it's not the Peter Parker that I know. I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna go watch the original stuff that I grew up on, and that's what people are doing. You know what I'm saying?
This one is really funny to me. This one's really funny to me because I really like that he used Spider-Man as an example of like unsuccessful movies. You want to sit down and look me in the eye in the big year of 2022 and tell me that Marvel is unsuccessful and their box office is down and crashing. Marvel, you remember was it like 4 years ago now when Endgame came out and it was the highest grossing movie of all time? You know how Marvel is like the biggest franchise right now? And especially fucking Spider-Man. You want to look me in the eye and tell me Spider-Man has been unsuccessful. Spider-Man has been unsuccessful. The movie that like the entire internet is obsessed with. Everyone watched Spider-Man. Spider-Man has never been a hyper-masculine superhero. That's never been his thing. Maybe if you're going to use this as an example, use like Superman or Batman, and even still I would argue that this Batman movie is one of the biggest it's been. Like, superhero movies are bigger now than they have ever been because they appeal to a wider audience, because now women also enjoy watching them because there is a little bit more representation. It is a little bit more respectful, especially again things like Spider-Man. Have you ever thought about the fact that men also are humans? You spend your whole time dehumanizing everyone, women and men. But men have complex emotions as well. Men aren't all one thing. Having toxically masculine characters is really bad for men's mental health because they can't live up to those expectations. Men are also poorly represented in a lot of situations in the media. You all love to preach about how male suicide rate is higher, and then you also love to preach about toxic masculinity and how men aren't allowed to have feelings. Having representation in the media of men who are emotionally sensitive and more feminized is helping men because it gives representation to having emotions and to feeling things and to being an actual human being with like depth that isn't just like, I am big, strong, no feel emotions, save world, you know? Because that's not great. If men are expected to do that and hold the whole world on their shoulders and not have any emotions, not care about anyone or anything, that's obviously going to be damaging for their mental health if that is the expectation of them. Seeing superheroes who like have emotions and morals and respect people and respect women is helpful for literally everyone. We still have a long way to go, but like superhero movies right now are bigger than they've ever been. Especially fucking Spider-Man. Oh my god. Oh, you're so stupid. You like literally don't know anything. You don't know anything. Like at all. You
Yeah. Not cheat. Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna, bro. I tell guys all the time, if a girl cheats on you, she's effectively dead to you. You need to get rid of her immediately because she had to get to a certain place in her mindset to be able to bring herself to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A man cheating is not the same as a woman cheating.
Yeah. Big time.
So it's the worst form of betrayal because let's be honest.
I cheated and niggas always take me back.
Oh well, they're simps. So
And that's
Definitely.
true.
Yeah,
That's,
but
I mean,
no
yeah.
no
Where the
guy that
overs
has options
are.
that respects himself is gonna take a girl that cheat on him, man. Like they're just not. Because
not.
the thing is that men don't really ask for much from women. We really don't. We're very simple. We want you to be compliant, not give us a headache, give us peace, and not fuck other guys. You guys, however, want a man that's tall, ambitious, confident, good conversationalist, funny, cute, etc. All these
I
things.
just want.
So men don't really acquire much of women. So
do.
the things we do ask for have a lot of weight. Since we don't ask for much, each thing has more weight. And I would put at the top of the list is to not embarrass me with your promiscuity in the past.
You want a pet human. That's all you want. You don't want someone you can talk to or have fun with or communicate with. You want a human that obeys you, that you can control, that does things for you, that gives you gratification and doesn't want anything in return. That's what you want. Most people, I hope, want a companion, you know? Like that's what a relationship is. It's about having a companion. Women just want someone who sees them as an equal and treats them as an equal. We just want like a relationship. It's not us looking for an owner to control us and tell us what to do. We don't expect much. You thinking we want someone who we find attractive and funny and entertaining and good to be around is asking for too much. My guy, if you don't want that from a woman, that is not you wanting a partner or a relationship. That is you wanting to control and manipulate someone. You are textbook abusive boyfriend, and I said it before, and I really hope that no woman has the misfortune of ever being in a relationship with you. And whoever, if anyone does, I feel so fucking bad for them because they have been beaten down so bad by the system that we live in. And the fact that people would settle and be in a relationship with you says enough about society as it is. It's devastating and it's heartbreaking. And I will not stop talking about this and making videos about this until people get it through their fucking heads. And I don't think people like this ever will understand. They don't care. They won't listen to me because I'm a woman, obviously. And there's no changing their minds. They're too far gone. But I hope that I can help women see themselves better and value themselves more and not allow themselves to end up in relationships like this with people like this, like I did, because it's not okay and it's shit and it sucks and it's awful and it happens to too many women because there are too many men like this, and we have our standards so low that so many women will accept it because we're told that we aren't worth anything if we're alone. And I will keep talking about this, and I will keep making videos like this until more women understand that you are worth so much more than that. And I hope that young men also are able to see these things and know that it's not okay to treat women this way and to think like this. The lighting is super different and everything's changed a bit because my camera died and all 3 batteries were dead because I'm stupid and I didn't charge them. This only has a tiny little bit of juice in it because I had to get it in to film this outro before the sun went down. So I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. I also don't remember what I was saying. It's been like 45 minutes. This video was a little bit intense. It's something that I care a lot about, especially as someone who has been in a relationship with a boy at the time, who looking back at it is very much like this. And I wouldn't be surprised if right now he watched this sort of content and held these sort of beliefs. And it's just not fun. It's left me with very long-lasting trauma. I just want to help women not end up in those same situations. And I want to help educate people in any way that I can and raise any sort of awareness to prevent as many people ending up in relationships like this as possible. I want as many people as possible to be able to recognize behavior as toxic and bad and wrong and call men out on their bullshit. If you are a man and you see men acting like this, call them out because it can be really fucking scary as a woman. Men like this are so scary and they are dangerous. So please call out your male counterparts, and women, please know your worth and please know that you are worth more than men like this. Please put yourself first There are so many things more important than relationships. There's so many things much, much more important than relationships. Romantic relationships, sexual relationships are not the number one priority. It is so much better to be alone than to be with someone who abuses you and who sees you as lesser and mistreats you. I absolutely promise you it is so much better to not be in a relationship than it is to be with someone like that. Yeah, so thank you for watching. I hope that this video has been entertaining or educational or all of the above. I appreciate you sticking around this long. It's been a bit of a long one. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Fruit and Kiwi Bad channel members whose names are up on the screen right now, as well as a massive thank you to my Sprout and above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat and you get a whole bunch of different things depending on what tier you're on, but it includes like videos a day early, extra content, outtakes, etc. So if that's something you'd be interested in and you would like to support me a little bit more, that would be super, super fantastic. I really, really love and appreciate that so much. Speaking of, a huge massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons, Mandy, Josh, Sparrow, Bobby, and Toulouse. I appreciate you so, so much. Your support means the absolute world to me and it helps me out a ton. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So if you would like to join Patreon, go to patreon.com/savvycat. I would appreciate it so much. It really helps keep this running. Don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, Kiwi. I'm going to start posting there a little bit more. I know I said that all the time, but I've been really busy. And yeah, but I really want to start posting there more because I really enjoy posting over there. Follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.
When you close your eyes, you